There's a message to everyone. Don't fuck with the American people. You know, I try to warn people so many times. But it seems like I'm gonna have to take matters into my own hands. I'm tired of being beaten and pushed around by these people. America. Oh, blessed America. Where'd we go wrong? DeSantis' forces have just now uh, entered Miami. But I can't say I agree with either side, really. You know, this civil war has been going on forever and ever and ever, and I just can't take it anymore. So I encourage everyone, rise up. Those in Florida, those across America. Why do we need to adhere to these two parties when we can be our own people? I'm losing faith in the United States. This experiment, it's over. We let ourselves get far too divided. You know, I had high hopes. I hoped that this would not end in fire. I hoped that, you know, the nation could come together once again, but it clearly that ain't gonna be happening. So I think it's time we choose our own future. That starts now. I don't know if America will ever be united again. I don't know if my nation will piece itself back together. But for now, the United States is over. Congratulations, China, Russia, all the others. You won. You tore this flag down, and now in the ashes, a new world order is about to rise. I won't be around to see it, but I'd be damn sure that I will prepare myself and everyone around me to stop it. Good luck, Putin. You're gonna need it.
Bravo 6, going dark.
Defeating the radical left, the Marxists, the agitators, the anarchists. With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will liberate America from these villains once and for all. As my first order of business, I hereby declare martial law.
You have to take out their families. When you get these terrorists, you have to take out their families.
Putin's a killer. A lot of killers. You get a lot of killers. Well, you think our country's so innocent?
Death penalty. Bring it forth.
The only good communist is a dead communist!
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism
Americanism, not globalism.
that threatens the very foundations.
Will be our credo.
I'm gonna bomb the shit out of them.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Fire Rises. Last off, well, we're left in a peculiar situation with America. We have corporate extremists in Las Vegas that have taken over the area, and narco-capitalism at its finest, run by corporations, a true capitalist utopia. In theory. Meanwhile, the coast has been slaved into a Chinese puppet. Congratulations, China. You won the West Coast. Europe is still trying to help the Biden forces stay strong, but Trump is hitting heavy. Unfortunately, they're losing some steam. See, the population is mostly, here and here. Not so much here. In these areas, Trump's starting to lose capable fighting men. And of course, what worse for your DeSantis's regime is a new faction is emerging. A faction called the Sunshine Liberators has appeared. And with this, Florida soon starts to fall into disarray. The group known as the Atomwaffen Division also arrives. And now Florida is just in a state of crisis. The Atomwaffen Division has risen up again from the ashes. And it seems like over here, this faction known as the Sons of Iblis has something to do with it. Regardless, America is now going through a state of collapse. As worse than anything previous. So, as we see here, the Biden forces have managed to break through and retake the city of Pensacola. They continue pushing everywhere they can. And trying to reach this major city in what I believe is Missouri. I believe that's Missouri. Could be wrong though. They even try an assault for Mobile and managed to cut it off. With that, the DeSantis forces are steamrolling towards Tallahassee. Meanwhile, in Europe, things are not great. I mean, really not great. As Russia continues to steamroll, thankfully, the Ukrainian armed forces managed to act, with the help of Poland, managed to actually beat back the Russian assault on Kiev, managing to drive back the surrounding armies. Of course, they link up together, but for now, Kiev is safe. With this, Japan has made their first landings into the torn Korean peninsula. The peninsula is in shock, and at this point, both China and Japan have signed a treaty to jointly go in and try and restore some sense of normalcy. This is the first time in history that China and Japan have worked on something together. Modern history, keep in mind. They get through war-torn Busan and continue heading through as the Chinese make their way to Pyongyang, utterly eviscerated. The Finnish know what's good, and they are really pushing back, and well, the Nordics aren't just going to let one of their own take on Russia by themselves. So the Nordics fully commit to helping Finland. Russia is now in a serious pickle. Not great, especially since they are now miles away from Helsinki, and they are continuing to push into the northern area of Karelia. So, all in all, the Eastern European War is about 50-50 right now. As Russia continues barreling down on Estonia. With this, Alaska, Hawaiian forces and Navy assets have actually finally made it to Alaska. And they seem to be doing relatively fine against the disgruntled Canadian militias who really don't want to fight. Eventually, the Canadian invasion of Alaska fully stops. However, Alaska is given a choice. They can either, peacefully integrate with Canada, stay with Hawaii in a union as the naval command, or threaten Russian attacks. So, Alaska's fate is uncertain, especially since their economy is not driven to be on their own. So, let's color this in. Only time will tell. With this, the Sunshine Forces are barreling down. And eventually, they almost reach Orlando. The Atomwaffen divisions also pushes outward. With this, there's notions of a free Florida across the state. And that resonates with a lot of people, in fact, more than you'd think. So lots of local militias actually begin to rise up against all these ideals, extremists, Democrats, Republicans, and soon these forces are becoming stronger and stronger, really. DeSantis manages to flee, and he flees all the way to New Orleans, where he is then rescued by the Trump administration, or the and most of Florida ends up falling, with now an internal battle between the Atomwaffen division and these what is now proclaimed Sunshine Republic. With this, the rest of the states that are parts of union of these two factions are starting to realize that they don't necessarily need to side with one or the other. And with this, the notion of fighting for a unified America starts to crumble. The last major offensive by any party is the Biden offensive into New England, which after the CIA actually does an operative to assassinate the leaders, New England just kind of sort of collapses. The American fascists are still mostly strong in this part, and with this, the Trump administration begins to fracture. How so? Well, America begins to shatter. New rebel factions, even leaking into Canada, start to occur. The Canadian government is dissolved through Trudeau as an internal coup in Canada, possibly started by the Trump administration, leads to the Canadian government collapse. And, well, shit just kind of starts to hit the fan. Mexico, on the other hand, well, Mexico shuts down entirely. As the cartels start to get a rise, the Mexican government ceases to exist. And America is beginning to fracture. Biden flees to Delaware, as both Virginias leave the Union. With this, most of America is now in complete and total collapse. So let's take a break from America and go back over to the battle between the Enclave and the Houthi forces. The Enclave and Houthi forces are, well, it's American military versus rebel militias supplied by Iran. Even if Iran is supplying them, the Americans still have far superior tech and know how to use their bullets wisely. The Houthis kind of collapse. And with this, Yemen is effectively taken over by Americans, which is odd. So they meet with Saudi Arabia to discuss what they're gonna do. So with Saudi Arabia, they come up with a new plan. The Enclave gets a little chunk to operate in, and the Houthis get a little chunk as well, and the rest of the Yemen government stays the same. Which is less to be said for the Saudi government, because the Saudi government is currently going through some problems that we might see later. But, you know, all's well ends well. Except for no. Shit is about to hit the fan. In specifically Africa. Suddenly, the Nile War has begun between Egypt, well, between mainly Sudan and South Sudan, but Egypt joined in because Ethiopia joined in, and it's now just kind of a big mess. Not great. Immediately, offensives are started as the Egyptians kind of make their move and immediately kind of just start taking over the region. Meanwhile, over here, things are looking less good for South Sudan, and Somaliland is continuing to try and get its independence from the rest of Somalia. Immediately, the Enclave says, "Ooh, hey, American assets are actually in Djibouti, so why not help them out?" Which sparks another war between the Houthis and the Americans. They really don't get along. But, of course, because it's American power, and actually, lots of the military bases here have kind of the same sort of thing. They're like, wait, no, we don't want to be invaded. They actually allow the Americans of the Enclave to come in and help. And even lots of American assets actually switch to joining the Enclave side. So, yeah, they kind of just start causing problems for everyone around, and the Enclave, of course, is going to cause problems for the Houthis, who can't exactly do much other than just throw bodies at the problem, and throwing bodies at the problem doesn't always work. China! So, yeah, not great. But, you know, over here, Japan is continuing their mission, and they finally make it to Seoul. And the Chinese actually managed to link up with the Japanese. Soon over a period, the Korean Peninsula is restored. But now China and Japan are at a standstill. So they decide to finally do something cooperative for once. They both leave the Korean Peninsula and let it decide its own fate. China only has one option. Korea must disband all nukes. All nukes must be sent to China. And Japan's like, if you hold up to this, alright, sure. So the nukes that didn't get launched by Mr. Kimmy Fatman get taken over the border to China, where China proceeds to just kind of use them for whatever. So, Korea is... so, it'll be okay. Well, not really. Because something in Korea is stewing. So, what the fuck has happened? Well, you know all those South Korean shibbles? Basically, giant corporations? Well, now that the Korean government is effectively mysteriously vanished, well, what happens? The corpos come in. And they see North Korea as prime real estate. So lots of them gun for North Korea specifically. So, even some completely foregoing having southern areas. So, what becomes known as the Great Korean Game happens between Samsung, SK, Hyundai, and LG. some of the top 4 biggest companies, chaebols, in South Korea. These family dynasties. Think of Cyberpunk, Arasaka Corporation, Militech, all those. Kind of like that. And soon, Korea becomes something of a great game. A chess match between these chaebols to, well, see what cards they can place, what areas of Korea they can take. So, let the great game begin. And with this, the corporations in Japan are now growing even more restless. They see what's happening in Korea, and they're like, well, why can't we do the same in Japan? We could try and gain control over the whole government. So Japan starts experiencing similar effects because of how much they've relied on these corporations for manufacturing those microchips. It's gone wild. Because now China, who has had a stranglehold, now is getting outpaced by Korea and Japan, well, combined. But now these corporations are outpacing the countries of their origin. So, as the Great Korean Game begins, Japan might soon experience something similar. But enough of that. Let's go back to America. So the US and Canada basically start undergoing a new collapse. As they have been fighting for 2 years, the bloodshed has been monumental. Finally, the people are tired, and they want to choose their own path. So the dust settles and America starts remaking itself. Divided. Eternally. Say hello to the new American norm. Mexico has effectively shut down between a bunch of cartels that are trying to vie for control. The only area that's still under control of the original Mexican government is Mexico City. Here is our other players. There's Texas, or the Lone Star Republic, as it's called. There is the Federation of Louisiana. There is the Sunshine Republic. The Atomwaffen Division has moved upwards after leaving Florida. Then there's Atlanta, or not just Atlanta, Georgia, which is honestly one of the nicest places to actually live on the continent. They're pretty reasonable people, in fact. The state of Kentucky and the state of Tennessee, they're independent now, so that's fun, I guess. Then there's the unitary state of Carolina, or just Carolina. Now you may be thinking, these two would never be caught dead in a room together, though. Well, fortunately and unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, these two need each other to survive. Just like, for the first time in years, Virginia and West Virginia have now united into just Virginia. Biden has left and remains in D.C., now under the new government, the Federal Union of Colombia. Not Colombia. It would be, the Federal Union of Colombia, or Columbus. You could call it Columbus, but I prefer Colombia, not to be confused with this Colombia. Two completely different. Here is the Federation of New England, also accompanied by Quebec. Then there is the American Empire, or as it's more colloquially known, the Buckeye Empire, the Buckeye State. They've reorganized to the capital of Ohio and now established an empire. An empire on the continent, sure. Meanwhile, here's the Green Party of America, or basically this Union of Superior is what they decided to call it. There's the Dakotan Union, the Federation of Illinois, and Trump still hiding out. Of course, Trump hiding out in Denver under the American Constitutional Republic still, the American Mountain Republics, the Associative Corporations of America, the ACA, the Combined Syndicalists of America, the CSA. Then there's the Federal Republic of Cascadia. There's the Hudson Bay Company, run by a few rogue runaway corporations. The federal state of Ontario, still controlled by the Canadian government. The Free State of Canada. And the Northwest Territories, which is kind of on a limbo fence. They barely even know that the Civil War has started, that the collapse of Canada has started yet, so for all intents and purposes, they're kind of just ignoring the whole apocalypse. And then there's the Alaskan Republic, who may or may not join up with Cascadia at some point to create a huge super state. We don't know. Find out next on Dragon Ball Z. So, this is America. Pretty bleak, ain't it? Well, comment down below which state you would rather live in, or which nation you would rather live in this American crisis, or which state you would like to see more of, because as of right now, we have our American warlords. The unification of America that we so long dream of is dead. America is never going to unify, not like how it used to be. As the dust settles, Biden steps out, President of the Union of America, or the Union of Colombia, and he says, "My citizens, it is with a heavy heart that I must say that the American dream is dead." And Trump, unfortunately, did not bring it back. But I can promise you one thing, that there will be better times ahead. For my nation, for America. But for now, we must focus on ourselves and the defending of our great nation. This is the end of America. And I cannot promise that I will bring it back. But I will bring peace and stability to the lands that are still loyal to me. May God be with you. Trump steps out. The American dream is dead. And I said it for many years, and I promised that I would bring it back, and I will not break my promise. I can promise you, with the lands that are still loyal to me, that I will bring America back. Through glory and conquest, this great nation will return, bigger, better, and stronger than ever. This is Donald J. Trump signing off. Elon Musk, who has become mostly the unofficial head of the United Corporations of America, or the Association of Corporations of America, the ACA. My friends, America may be gone, but we are not. With the strength of mind, we will surpass this nightmare. And if I can trust upon anything, it is that we have neighbors who we can get along with, and we have people to defend. America, this great nation, will come back stronger. And under my leadership, I believe that we can achieve something great. This is Elon Musk. This is Tim Walz, the president of the Federation of Superior. It is with a heavy heart that I must say that the State of the Union is dead. The Union is gone. But I can promise you all one thing, is that I will bring our nation to peace and prosperity the correct way. I will not let my people down, and we will have a state for all to be free. Equality amongst all. This is Tim Walz, signing off. This is the Adam Morphin Division. Our mission is not yet complete. However, our resolve has never been stronger. We will cleanse America in the nuclear fire that is so promised. That our people who have forsaken themselves shall be cleansed. The rot will be cleansed. And from the ashes of hell, America will rise to be better than before. As God's chosen will come from the ashes. And the screams of the Antichrist will die as the superior American race comes forth. We are the sons of Iblis. And we have one mission in mind. A glorious state for our great leader, our great god Iblis. A glorious state which will usurp the so-called freedoms of mankind. We will bring down to fire and ash to create a new glorious state. A state so glorious that it shall rival the power of heaven itself. You all know me. I'm the American patriot. And this is my world. The Sunshine Republic shall live on. And America may never go back to the way it was. But by hell, I will protect my people. America, God rest its soul. But, if I know one thing, is that a nation always falls. Think back to the ages of the Roman Empire. Such great nations are bound for collapse. But I believe something greater can come from that collapse. And we will be that something greater. This is the American Patriot. The Sunshine Patriot. Signing off. Goodbye.